All right, in the previous chapter, we have covered JSP scripting element. Okay, we have covered there are three main scripting elements in JSP. Anyone can name it one by one? JSP command, JSP expression. You sure? JSP command? Yes, JSP expression. Others? JSP directive. Are you sure? Directive? JSP expression? Yes, correct. Yes, JSP declaration. Okay, we have JSP declaration. Another one. Another one. You need to declare. Yes, JSP scriptlet. Okay, this is the three main scripting element in JSP. Okay, so in the tutorial that I have uploaded in the YouTube, I have included all these scripting element, JSP scriptlet, declaration, and directive in those tutorial. And the code is simple. You can just watch the video and try to type on your own. And I have got you where to store the file in the server and how to run it. All right. So, me and you wanna review the chapter 6. Okay. We are moving to chapter number 7. Okay. So, we need to proceed chapter by chapter in every weeks. Okay. So, therefore, in the end of the semester, we need to manage a lot regarding your case study and regarding your final project or final assessment. Okay. Okay. In next chapter, okay, as I has explained in the previous chapter, we're going to cover JSP directive. Okay. JSP directive. What are we going to cover in this chapter? What are the first one? What are JSP directive? Okay, what's JSP directive? Second one, the purpose of JSP directive. Okay, what for? Why we need JSP directive? Okay, and next, okay, this one's supposed to be 3. The type of JSP directive. Okay, there are how many type, right? That you need to know, right? The basic for JSP directive that you can use in your JSP file. Okay, the first one. Uh, what are JSP directive or what are directive? Okay, so simple as whatever goes inside this, you have created this sign before, right? In your servlet before, right? Servlet you can run by directive, okay, right? And by URL, okay, and text is called directive. So whatever you have typed here with the at sign, okay, after this we call JSP directive. Okay, so what directive doing? Everything in directive are processed before JSP translated into the servlet. So before it proceed to the next line of JSP code, JSP will proceed with this directive first, right? For example, this directive has been import some file, so the JSP will read those files first before it proceed to the next JSP line of code. Okay, so next, why do you need directive? Okay, why do we need directive? Okay, the first one, to incorporate certain addition feature to the JSP, right? So some feature that you may need to include, right? So we can use this directive to include those directive. Okay, if you still remember, we have include, right? In Java, in previous Java, we have include library before you can use those library. Okay. Second one, we can modify the servlet behavior generated from JSP, right? Modify the anything inside the JSP, you can modify, right? We're going to have some example. This one similar to your HTML, you have CSS, right? So you can include the CSS file to change the behavior of your HTML file. Okay, so we can use that. Okay, next, includes others HTML or JSP file in JSP. This one, you have so many file, right? So in this, for example, in this servlet, we're going to include some HTML file or JSP file. For example, you need to include header or footer, right? So you can use by JSP directive. Okay, next, lastly, provide the tag library. Okay, this one we will cover how you need to declare the library and you need to include the library, right? Okay. Any question on this? Any question on this? Okay. For the example, I'm going to make a short video similar to the previous chapter. So please go to watch that video and try to practice. So you will be more understand what I'm trying to explain in this class. Okay. So any question before we proceed? Right? Simple, right? Directive. Okay. Next, JSP directive. The purpose. Okay. JSP directive, it's affect the overall structure of the servlet. So, for example, here we have add directive. We need to change some attribute with the values, right? So in that JSP file, that attribute will be changed based on this value. Okay. Okay, next you need to remember there are three main type of JSP directive or page directive. Okay. The first one is add page. You have symbol at sign, and then after that you have page. Okay. Okay. The first one, it's allow developer to control the structure of servlet. Okay, by importing class, customize superclass, and etc. And so far and so forth. Right. So you can import the class, for example. Okay, you can customize the class in this. For example, you have page here, JSP page, this one, page directive, we call page directive, attribute equal to value, right? And then any others attribute and others value. Okay, next we're going to cover what is the attribute. You can see this is the sum of the attribute that you can change in your JSP. Language scripting. Okay, what's the language that you're going to use? You want to extend the class, and then what the value you need to import. Okay, and what is the list? That's the value. What is the list of the import? You need to include the session. Okay, then the value will be true or false. You need to control the auto flush. Okay, again, the value will be true and false. Content type. Okay, this is the value of content type. Error page, right? How you handle the error. Okay, is error page. Okay, this you want to handle the error, and so far and so forth. This is the common attribute that we going to use for page directive. Okay. Any question? Any question? So this you can download again. You can download the full slide from the iTalent, right? From iTalent. Okay. I also have include the full textbook for this chapter. You can read in detail. Okay. For this slide, I just summarize what is the main important thing that you need to cover. Okay. In this chapter. Any question? Any question? Okay. Any question? Okay, before we proceed, let's recall what we cover for this chapter. What we uncover in this chapter. Anyone can answer what we are covering for this chapter? Anyone can answer? You can just open the mic or you can type in the comment. Right? So this chapter is very short. Script type. You sure we are covering the script type? What we are covering? You see? Are you guys following me? Yeah. So what we are covering for this chapter? JSP element? You see? You are not following me, right? What we are covering for this chapter? We are covering JSP. No, declaration is the last in the previous chapter. Yes, directive. We are covering JSP directive. You see, from many answer, only one an answer directive. Okay, directive. From your own understanding, what is directive? The name itself. What it name? What you can understand from this chapter, JSP. What is JSP directive from your own understanding? Right? No worry, there's no right and wrong answer. Right? From your own words, what is JSP page directive? What you mean? Anyone can answer? Right? Maybe in the next translating JSP into servlet. Right? This is what the code doing, but what the main purpose, right? And the main idea of JSP directive. What are you using for? Right? The name itself is direct, right? It directs. You see, directive to somewhere, some code. Right? Define attribute, not really instruction. Define, declare, similar to href. Yes, it's direct. href, yeah, similar to you have href, right? You direct, right? Those image or those link into your page. Right? Similar, right? Similar. You want to direct to something to include in your JSP file, right? That is directive. Okay, I hope you can recall back from the beginning of uh, of the the slide. Okay. Any question? No question, right? Okay. No question. Okay. Next, there are the second type of JSP page directive, which is include. Right? You have used this include before, right? Where you have used this include before? Anyone remember this include before? You have used this include before, right? At Java, yeah. In Java, in OOP, right? You have, when you need to use some library, you need to include those library, right? Okay. Similar to those includes, right? Okay. But for JSP, it's allowed to insert, right? It's also to insert some file into your JSP file. Right? For example, you have, all right, at sign include file equal to any file name, right? Usually we include header and footer, right? Of course, if you have like thousand file, you might not going to write each individual file, the header with the footer, right? So in order to do that, you just uh, include, right? Just one line to include, one line to include the header, one line to include the footer, right? So in the future, if you need to change anything in the header and in the footer, you just go to the specific file, right, of header and of footer. Means you does not need to go one by one to change the header and footer, right? Okay, and if you want to include others thing from others page, right, you can use this include, right? I'm going to create some short tutorial that include other thing than header and footer. Okay, so include is quite simple. Okay, next is tag library, right? The tag, JSP tag, the library, right? The library. Okay, this one for advanced JSP, we are not going to cover in detail for that, for this type lab. Okay, it's defined custom markup tag. Mean you need to use some special library, right? Then you need to include those tag library, the URL. For example, this library from which URL and what is the prefix for this library. In order, for example, you want to use Nawin, right? Nawin class or method, right? But Nawin is not in the common Java, right? Nawin from this URL. So this, therefore you need to use a tag library. So commonly we are not going to use so much special, but in the future if you're working, you might need a special library, right? In order to do something with your JSP file, right? So therefore, you can use the tag library to include those special library for your code. Okay, so that's all for chapter number 7. Very short, right? Very short. JSP directive. Okay, and we have three main type of JSP directive. Okay, page directive, include, and then tag library. Okay, any question? Any question? Any question? That's the main thing that you need to know or understand for the JSP directive, right? Of course, there are more detail, right? For more detail, you can go into your iTa'lim, right? I have include the I've include the okay, I've include the chapter, okay, the full chapter PDF, and I'm going to include the short tutorial, okay, with the ebooks that you can refer later on, okay. Before you proceed to the directive, please go to view this tutorial for chapter number 7, okay, for scripting element, and you can read in detail. Okay, in this ebook there is a lot of example, right? Maybe from the first example you might not understand. By looking at the next example, you can understand, right? That's how we are learning the programming. And not just to read, you can practice. You need to practice, right? Try to follow this tutorial, right? This tutorial, and try to make some change from the code. Let's see from the change what happened to your code. Okay. Any question? Any question? So this chapter very short. All right. I make it very short for you. Right. So then you can just catch the main principal thing in this chapter for you to be used. Any question? Any question? Any question? Any question? Okay, some typing. No, sir. I see about sharing a link so far. Okay. No question. No question. So no worry, right? So I will post this tutorial. So in the next week, right? I hope you can view and read more. So if you have any question before we begin the next session, we're going to have a short review regard this chapter as well. Okay, same. You do not have any question. Please don't forget to complete the class activities. Right, class activities. Okay, this is the class activities number 5. Right, similar to tutorial that I have uploaded. Okay, you need to submit by next week Tuesday. Right, if you submit late, there will be some mark will be deducted. Okay, so we end our session by reciting tasbih, kifarah, and surah to us. Okay, thank you for joining the session. Thank you.